For my third world country of choice, I chose Costa Rica. This first slide here shows you a typical plate of a Costa Rican meal. So oftentimes you'll see the rice and beans pretty much on every plate, even at breakfast. There'll be salad usually, some fruit, and then a protein of choice. Here it just happens to be the steak. Some background about Costa Rica. Costa Rica is labeled as a country of peace, and it has been a country of peace since 1948. The military was eliminated after a civil war that lasted 44 days. The military budget was since redirected to be used for improving Costa Rica's security, education, and also culture. Now, while there's not a military, the country is still very much protected by security and also civil guards consisting of about 4,500 troops. The labor force participation rate is about 59.6%, which is very similar to America. Lots of people choose to work. Colones are the currency, and about $1 is equal to 668.22 colones. The average salary is equal to $44,220. However, this number doesn't really represent Costa Rica very well because there's a very high income inequality and the poor outnumber both the rich and the middle class. So the richest people in Costa Rica have been said to be making 32 times more money than the poorest 10%. So the rich are really altering this average salary, and unfortunately it doesn't give us a very good idea of what people are truly making because it's all over the place. And in addition to that, there is no minimum wage, so there's no real regulation as to what you will be making as a Costa Rican. Costa Rica is located in Central America, and it is a very small country. It is actually slightly smaller than West Virginia. It is considered the most biodiverse country in the world. It's able to keep its reputation as being most biodiverse by protecting a lot of the land. So 28% of the land is completely protected, and this is beneficial for their economy because so many tourists will travel to Costa Rica and you have to pay money to see a waterfall, go to a park, hike a volcano. All of that costs money, and that is of course going to benefit the economy. So yeah, to sum up biodiversity, that is all different kinds of life. So that's going to be your animals, plants, fungi, and microorganisms like bacteria. The life expectancy in Costa Rica is pretty high. It's about 80.28 years, which is higher than America, which was about 78 or 79, I believe. This is for a few reasons. First of all, Costa Rica is home to a blue zone, one of the 5, and it's called Nicoya. And Costa Rica on its own was also labeled the happiest country in the world. And this was discovered through a Happy Planet survey, which basically measures how happy citizens are, how long they live, and how much of planet resources they use. Now, the reason why they're probably so happy is because they live by pura vida, meaning pure life. They truly live by this. It's not just a corny saying. And they have very strong social bonds, a clean environment, and accessibility of education and healthcare to all. Nicoyans specifically live around 90 to 100 years, and the amazing thing is that they're disease-free. They're not living past 90 miserably. They're really truly enjoying their last years, and this is for a few reasons. First of all, Nicoyans tend to be highly active. Even though they have access to transportation, most of them choose to walk. They walk with friends and family, which strengthens the social bonds. They also consume healthy foods. They eat a lot of plant-based foods, and they try to eat, they do eat most of their food in the beginning of the day and then choose to eat light dinners, which tends to be the little opposite of what we do here in America. Also, Nicoyans live by plan de vida, which is reason to live. So they're always looking for, why are we here? They want a sense of purpose, and it helps their mental health, and it makes them feel like they're there for a reason, and it improves their general health as well. And lastly, Nicoyans have access to hard water rich in calcium, which is super beneficial for our health. The public health system, CCSS, is available to all people before birth, and it will continue out for your entire lifespan if you're a Costa Rican. It does cost the recipient money, but it is based on your income, so it is super affordable and helpful for the locals. Here I have included a list of the most common causes of death of Costa Rica in order. So first we have heart disease, stroke, kidney disease, COPD, diabetes, hypertensive heart disease, lower respiratory infections, Alzheimer's, road injuries, and stomach cancer. So I'm not sure if any of you have ever been to Costa Rica, but the driving is absolutely terrifying. I tried to include a picture on the left. As you can see, you're basically driving on the side of the cliff. I did visit recently, which is why I chose the country, because I do think it's very amazing. On these windy roads, they don't even have guardrails. And I kid you not, if you look to the side of the car, you see that if you make one slightly wrong turn, you're literally going to fall off the cliff and die. It is absolutely horrifying, and there's just not a lot of lights or laws. Everyone just does whatever they want to do. So I can see why the road injuries are on here. Some existing diseases and conditions include hepatitis A and B, yellow fever, malaria, measles, leptospirosis, rabies, mosquito-borne diseases like chikungunya, dengue, and Zika, whooping cough, and then respiratory distress due to volcanic ash. Costa Rica is located on the Ring of Fire, so that is basically where all of the volcanoes are and the most earthquakes in the world. So if a volcano is super active, this can cause respiratory distress for the people living there. Leptospirosis was a condition I was unaware of before I did the research, so I just wanted to share some info about it. It is a bacterial disease spread through infected urine of animals. So those who have scrapes or open wounds and come into contact with contaminated water are at risk. And the symptoms can really be mistaken for many other diseases and conditions, and it can take anywhere from 2 days to 4 weeks to surface. So the food supply of Costa Rica is pretty interesting. They export coffee, sugar, lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, eggs and dairy, beef and pork, and rice and beans. What's interesting is that while Costa Rica produces its own rice, it's not enough for the very high demand of rice in the country. And they make more money by just exporting all of the rice that they produce in the country and just exporting it out of country and then just getting imports of rice from out of the country. They save money by doing this. Many of the foods that get exported from Costa Rica go to America, the Netherlands, Guatemala, Mexico, and Belgium. A lot of the imported food items to Costa Rica are processed foods. So this includes bakery products, sweeteners, sauces and condiments, canned foods, pre-cooked meals, cereal, beverages, and then tree nuts and rice. So to get these imported food items at the food markets in Costa Rica, they are really overpriced and expensive. So you have to be maybe at least considered middle class and maybe even rich to consume them on a regular basis because they're just so marked up in Costa Rica. So most of the imported foods are coming from America, Mexico, Guatemala, and El Salvador. Nutrition concerns in Costa Rica include anemia, primarily in women and infants, vitamin D deficiency, vitamin A deficiency, overconsumption of iodine, obesity, and malnourishment. Vitamin D deficiency is likely due to the dark color of skin of locals in Costa Rica, and also a lot of individuals living in Costa Rica are indoor a lot of the time, so they're not getting that natural vitamin D. And this is an issue because if you're not getting your vitamin D, this is going to affect your bone health. So this has resulted in secondary hyperparathyroidism in about 10% of the population. So vitamin D deficiency is a major issue in Costa Rica. And obesity is another huge issue, which goes hand in hand with iodine, because if you're consuming lots of salt, it's likely you're going to become obese. Also have issues with hypertension, which, as we saw, they struggle with that as well, and with heart disease. To make matters worse with the obesity, it is very admirable in the Costa Rica country to be obese. So it is a common practice to use the term gordita, which is a Mexican pastry. So if someone is obese or overweight and you call them gordita, it's used as a term of affection. So I believe it's because it is a symbol of, being wealthy enough to afford to eat and show it off, I guess, by your weight. But obesity there is even more prevalent than it is in America, and it is a major problem. Malnourishment, it also coexists with obesity because, everywhere is different. So in the rural areas of the country, individuals don't have access to food markets unless they walk all the way there. They don't have transportation, and there's not food markets everywhere like there are in your typical city in America. This makes it really difficult because the affordable food items in Costa Rica are your fresh foods, not your processed foods. So it's not like these individuals can stock up on food and be good for a while. They really need to go often to the food markets, and this results in malnourishment. And also those living in the rural areas don't have as much money as those in urban areas. To better the public and community health in Costa Rica, there are a few different programs that I think would be really beneficial. First of all, the country attempted to implement a fast food tax. The reason for this was because obesity is such a big issue alongside hypertension and heart disease. So by implementing a fast food tax, this is going to make the fast food cost more money and hopefully deter people from purchasing it continuously, and hopefully making it so it's more of an occasional food treat. Unfortunately, this tax did not go through, so if it did go through, I believe that it would make a big difference, especially for those who don't have the endless money to go out all the time. Fortifying more foods could also be beneficial. A lot of the food is already fortified with iron, and this has made a huge impact on improving the anemia in both women and children. So if more foods were fortified with vitamin D and vitamin A, I believe this can make a difference. Again, unfortunately, processed and prepackaged food, such as fortified food, isn't as available to the Costa Rican people as it is in the US. From my research, I was only able to discover about 5 food pantries in Costa Rica. Now, I'm sure there's more, but it doesn't look like they're very accessible to those who really need it. So implementing more food pantries throughout the country could be really helpful, improving malnourishment and also food insecurity. Also, creating a food delivery service to donate canned goods, also some fresh produce and meats, could make a huge difference with improving food insecurity and malnourishment. especially for those who are living in rural areas, and to get to the grocery store, they literally have to walk, and it takes hours because they live so far, and public transportation isn't an option, and they don't have transportation on their own. So something like Meals on Wheels would be awesome. Unfortunately, I'm not sure about the finances of how it would work. It would probably have to be funded by outside countries for Costa Rica to have something like a food delivery service. Nutrition and physical activity education are highly needed in Costa Rica, and this has become clear from their high intake of iodine, their obesity prevalence, heart disease, and also hypertension. So individuals here really need to have a better understanding on why they should be eating better and why physical activity is so important. Now, I realize, Costa Rica is home of Nicoya, the blue zone, where physical education and nutrition are amazing. So maybe if Nicoya somehow came to schools, or the elderly of Nicoya rather came to schools and spoke to the children on how they've made it this far, and the high school students, I believe this could make a huge difference and inspire individuals to eat healthier. That's a wrap on Costa Rica. Overall, even though it's a third world country, they have made vast improvements over the last few years, really. Chronic malnourishment has improved, education has gotten better, and their pay rate is definitely better than some other countries. So overall, Costa Rica is not as much of a third world as I had originally believed. However, the payment inequality is a huge issue in Costa Rica and could be adding to food insecurity issues as well as nutritional deficiencies.